Welcome back to the channel. So the playoffs are finally here. It's been a long road to get back. 8-8 2019, a horrible 2020 with a bad defense, and an even worse injury to Dak Prescott, followed up by contract drama throughout the offseason. And speaking for myself, I thought that if Dak came back healthy, they were going to finish 12-5 and likely in the NFC title game. And that was before I knew what this defense was. They have playmakers on every level, and so does the team for their production. What they've done with this group of players has done nothing but raise the bar of expectations. And it's hard not to see it that way, given how they played against Philadelphia, albeit against backups. The offense had to have some confidence going into the postseason, not for themselves, not for the fans, but for maybe the offensive play caller and the head coach. After Saturday and a wild end to the regular season, and now at number 3 in the conference, which means if they win with some luck, they get a second home playoff game. And this week is the San Francisco 49ers. The Niners at 10-7 have made the playoffs, and at 10-7 are way more physical than you might think. They have a diverse running game with Eli Mitchell and Deebo Samuel, physical linebackers, and one of the NFL's best play callers is Kyle Shanahan, but one of the most inconsistent quarterbacks in Jimmy Garoppolo. It's a toss-up in how confident or concerned you should be going into the matchup. As always, I'm going to discuss the game in depth to preview Cowboys and Niners on Wild Card Weekend with a special guest. You may know him from the ATB Cowboys Pod or over at Cowboys Wire, but a great follow, a great friend. Joining me tonight is Mike Crum. What's up, Mike?
How you doing, my friend? What's going on, partner?
We're here, man. Back again, huh?
Yeah, man. I'm excited. I've been waiting a while. Your intro said it. I've been waiting since 2018, and I feel like we've had the quarterback, and then he got injured. I really thought, even with the defense bad last year with the quarterback coach combo, that we had a chance to at least get in and get some experience, and now we're here, so we're gonna see what happens.
Yeah, man. I mean, you think everything that kind of went into it, even last year, like with the defense and being that bad. I was talking to somebody online today. I said, defense is one thing that does not carry over, whether good or bad, like thematically. Like good quarterback play, you can kind of have year to year consistently, but a good defense is hard to retain and keep in the NFL. So I knew they weren't going to be horrendous like last year. They're going to be a little bit better, but this is like way past what anyone even expected. So, I mean, I'm happy that they're 12-5. And I feel like, you know what, where they should be, you know what I'm saying? So I think that's one of the plus signs. Before we get to it though, Mike, how can we find you on Twitter?
At CD Piglet, guys, nice and easy. Letter C, letter D, Piglet.
And guys, you can find me on Twitter at SDQ Flight Crew. All right, man. So Mike, over the last few weeks, with my guests, I have them come on, tell them a little bit about themselves, their background. So if you can, tell us about what you're doing over at Cowboys Wire and how you became a Cowboys fan.
All right, so Cowboys fans, pretty simple. I followed Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy Johnson was my favorite college coach. Michael Irvin, to today, is my favorite NFL player ever, and he was my favorite college player. They both happened to go to Dallas, and then, you know, it was a struggle to get through the 1-15 and stuff season, but like within 3 years, you're winning 3 Super Bowls. That becomes imprinted on you, especially as young as I was. And you're like, all right, this is my team. And then little did I know, we'd have to struggle the next 25, 26 years. But yeah, man, I followed Jimmy over and went through the 1-15s. And I told everybody, I was like, nah, this coach is really good. Just wait it out. And a couple years later, we were winning Super Bowls.
It's funny. So I was telling people last night on the Space with Knicks, and I was saying that if you're a Cowboys fan, 30 and over, enjoy it, like really relishing it, because we've had to wait for so long. And it feels like, I think it's the opponent too. I think playing the Niners kind of, it gives you back the vibe and the nostalgia of being a Cowboys fan and really indulging in what it is right now. So without saying, man, you know, this is a classic matchup with these two teams. In fact, it's so classic. I said, break out the starter jackets, the nylon jackets, the logo athletic snapbacks. Like, it's classic. As a matter of fact, if you're listening at home and you have a close ear, every instrumental track in this video tonight is going to be from the Billboard 100 back from 1995. So the week we played the Niners, like these beats, instrumentals, are all from that same week of playing the Niners in the 95 game from way back. So I'm like I said, I'm going to indulge in this whole rivalry, indulge in the 95 and the nostalgia. I'm all for it. So with that said, what is your earliest memory, playoffs aside, in general, what's your earliest throwback memory of Cowboys versus Niners?
It's going to be playoffs. And here's the thing. I live with someone right now. He just moved in a few months back that I've known since 5th grade, San Francisco 49ers fan. another dude who worked with me, my dad, and my brother back in the day, San Francisco 49ers fan. The guy who I work with at Daphne's, who I went, my best friend, we were rivals back in the day, 49ers fan. He hired 2 other 49ers fans. I'm from Fresno, California. So while there are Dallas fans here, I'm pretty surrounded by Niners fans. So it's been the rivalry's real. It's like a flip back instantly, and it's crazy. As far as the earliest memory, for me, it's the 92 championship game, the 896 F flat, which is the Alvin Harper slant play. Michael Irvin goes to the other side because that's the side the ball went to all game long, and then the Niners blitzed it, and Harper slanted the post off real quick, got it, took it all the way down inside the 10. Kelvin Martin scores to seal the game, and we went on to win our title, and that was the one for it. Still to this day is. I remember when I watched it, I went crazy because I was like, Alvin Harper, I can't believe Alvin Harper. And then when you found out later on that Michael Irvin was the one that was supposed to be over there, and he flipped to the other side because they had kept throwing it that way to Alvin Harper all game. And Michael Irvin was like, nah, man, this ain't for you. This is my time. This is a fourth quarter NFC title game. It's my time to make the play. I'm built for this. And then Alvin Harper catches the slant, takes it to basically seal the game with like 4 minutes left. He gets it and is gone. So that memory will be here when I get Alzheimer's and stuff. That memory is one
the
that
only
will
thing I remember is this play.
Yeah.
Man. I'm trying to think because, like I said, because you're a little bit older than me, but I think 94. I remember 94 in bits and pieces. I remember it because they lost the game, obviously. And I remember being a kid, maybe in 2nd or 3rd grade. I remember the magnitude of the game. I was still pretty young, but the magnitude of losing that game. And I remember going to school the next day, and I forget, maybe I snapped at a teacher or principal. I was pissed. And I remember I had this teacher that, so he was actually from Dallas. He was from Dallas, but he was a Niners fan from like the 80s or whatever. And I remember he would always wear this Niners tie. Whenever they won, every Monday he'd wear the tie. And of course, we played them that year. And I think it was Mr. Bernstein that I flipped on. And I was just so pissed off, man, from losing that game. So I remember that's the first one that I remember. And I mean, we've had some great games over the years with the Niners. It's not the same. I think now that they moved out of Candlestick Park, it feels different. Like it feels a little bit weird. It's not as like, I'll say grungy, but it's not the same kind of like vibe. And, you know, we've been up and down too. We've been on kind of opposite ends of success over the last, 20 some odd years. So it kind of feels like a little bit rough, man. But kind of piggybacking from last week, was there anything from the game with the Eagles last week you can apply to this week, either confidence, schematic, or otherwise? What can you extract from last week to bring forward to this week, if anything?
I'm going to say nothing really. And I know that we hope that confidence, but the reason I have to see it first is because we wiped out Washington and walked in at home against Arizona. Arizona said, nah, man, you ain't that confident. We're not Washington. So while it's possible they could take confidence from it, I got to see it first. I'm not just going to give it to them and go, oh, they killed. So yeah, they're going to come in and kill. So maybe confidence, nothing else because of who you were playing. I'm not giving them that. But you know, we'll have to see on the confidence. If we come in and put it on the 49ers, then I'll be like, yeah, playing that game started us towards that trend. But if it comes in and it gets another Arizona, then what confidence did you get?
Yeah, and I think that's the one thing. I mean, as a fan, I felt better about the game because they went off, they snapped, and they popped off. I think you're right, though, because the NFL is week to week. You mentioned Arizona last week. I mean, the Seattle wins last week. In a game they had to have, the Denver Broncos played the Chiefs tough, oddly enough. Like, it's a week-to-week type of situation. I feel better about the team going forward because they had to do something and instill some confidence. Maybe even, like I said, Kellen Moore or Mike McCarthy. I feel like that's the one thing I could take from this game. There's one thing that I did take from it in a negative way that I'm going to ask you this question. So, as we normally do here, I'm going to break the game down with you from Cowboys defense against their offense, and then we'll flip sides. And I'm more concerned with anything else is mainly their offense against our defense. That's my main concern. So Is there anything you can tell me about this team, the way they play the run? Because the one thing that I noticed, or at least how, they play their running game so diverse, they attack the edges. With our D-line, how would you counteract what they do as far as the outside runs, the traps, the pulls, and all that stuff? How do you counteract that with our D-line? What's your idea?
Well, here's the first thing. This isn't last year's team. So people forget, even this year, I tell people, I was like, I'm an efficiency guy just like them, but we were a top 10 team against the run this year in total yards. So you give me efficiency. Well, efficiency, we were average in the yards per play. We were past 20. The problem with that is people forget Neville Gallimore wasn't on that team. DeMarcus Lawrence wasn't on that team. So this team was doing that with the makeshift guys. So now you have Tank taking away one side. Now, when you have what Niners like to do is old school, they like to pull their guards. Okay, well, if you got defensive tackles that can beat your guards to the backfield, guess what Neville Gallimore is doing a lot this year? He gets penetration back there. And then you've got a guy like Micah Parsons who's sideline to sideline. So my thing is, you're probably going to stack Neville Gallimore and Tank on one side, or Watkins and Tank on one side, and say, you ain't going there, so go to the other side. And then you shade that way, and you have Micah Parsons ready. So penetration from D tackles, Tank setting the edge, Micah Parsons sideline to sideline. That's the way I think they'll do well. The Niners are going to get some yards. They're a great running team. I'm not saying that Dallas is going to hold them to 30 yards rushing. Niners will probably have a 100-yard game. They've got to do what they did against the Rams. When the Rams went for 200 and barely beat us 30-22, that's the way Niners got to do it. A team ain't going for 200 on this. Not this team.
Not this year.
This ain't the one that played Denver. The one that you guys remember that are like, well, Denver got him for some yards. Yeah, there was no – Micah Parsons was playing edge because we didn't have anybody in the damn game. So, it just is what it is. They're not an elite run defense, but they're not a shabby give up 200 yards rushing. You could do whatever you want on them defense. Dan Quinn is not going to let that happen. Jimmy G is going to have to make plays. So
I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, I'm not one that's saying like, oh my God, I'm so panicked. We're just going to get run on all game. They're going to score and hold the clock. No, we're going to get stops. They're going to get runs. We're going to get stops.
That's been the concern for me, though. The concern is them occupying the clock by just running the ball in a diverse way. Like, I've seen, just watching stuff, I've seen them have a tight end around to Kittle. I've seen them do so many different things. I've seen them send the motion with Deebo Samuel, then to vacate your space and send Eli Mitchell right up the middle. Like, it's a lot that they can do to you. But the reason why I say this and I ask this question is, so last week, they ran the ball 31 times against the Rams, 31 rushing attempts. And everyone's thought is, oh, well, it's to protect Jimmy Garoppolo. Fair enough. But I had to ask this question. Are they hiding their offensive tackles? Because I don't know about Trent Williams this week either. So are they hiding their tackles by running the ball so much? Is there a weakness in their tackles that they're playing?
They are hiding their quarterback. For the year, they were second to last or third to last in pass attempts. Like, they're hiding Jimmy G. Don't make no mistake. As far as tackles go, they're not hiding Trent. If Trent Williams plays, he's the best in the league. We have one of the top guys. I think Trent Williams this year was better than Tyron Smith when they played. He's just unbelievable. So they're not hiding him. The question is he the same guy if he comes back? And it not just wind-wise, but it's an elbow injury, and elbows are difficult. And it's not like whoever he goes up against is going to be a pain in the ass. Randy Gregory's great. If Tank switches over there, he's great. If they put Parsons over there, he's great. And then when you think you get a break, Basham and Dorrance Armstrong are not terrible. This isn't, guys, this ain't. If a Bradley and I was going out there every play, then I go, okay, he might get a break. I like Bradley and I, but he's not that caliber right now, So every snap he takes, he's never going to get a chance to go, okay, I can take a break on my arm this one. He's going to have to go every one or they're going to get him. So, yeah, I don't think they're hiding Trent Williams, but if he's out or there's he's limited, then they may have to and use the run to help do that as well.
Yeah, I think that's the case. And McGlinchey's out, right? So McGlinchey's out. He's on IR. And they have the other guy, 68, that I've seen play. And I feel like they're trying to kind of get away and navigate that, because I think it's a little bit with the tackles, or you don't want to have them dropping back, 37 times, 36 times. You want to kind of protect them from our guys, because that's really where our focus is on defense, is getting our guys home all day long. And then again, I'm going to focus on the running backs. So that's the thing that's their bread and butter that we have to stop. So I'm going to make this comparison for you, and you tell me if I'm off base. Eli Mitchell is Demarco Murray drafted 3 rounds later.
I'm going to say that I don't know yet. I gotta give Mitchell a little bit more time, because he could be even better than that, or he may not live up to Demarco. Demarco Murray was a damn good running back for a few years, like elite top level running back. The reason he didn't get his credit is because like every team that has a good line, it always goes well, any running back behind that offensive line. You know what I mean? So I don't want to just put that out there in his rookie year. I personally drafted Mitchell in fantasy, and I thought he'd do really good with Kyle Shanahan. I have him on my dynasty team. Great pick, by the way. I'm going to pat myself on the back. But I'm not going to give him DeMarco Murray just yet, and I'm not going to limit him to DeMarco Murray just yet, because he could surpass that. We just don't know. He's too young.
So I guess stylistically, I'm saying it's DeMarco, because I see the way he, and it can kind of run both kind of up high a little bit. They're not very shifty per se, but they have nice lateral cuts. Like when they plant their foot in the ground and cut across, looks the same way. They kind of catch the ball the same way. They move the same way. Like, to me, they're similar kind of players. And like I said, I won't limit him to that, but you've seen that he's like their lead back. When he's healthy and he's there, again, because of fantasy, he gets the share of the carry. Like, he gets the bulk of the carries go to him more than anybody else. And they drafted a guy in the 3rd round, and he's like their focal point. Maybe it's the dependability of, he knows the system. He knows how to get downhill right away, like DeMarco Murray. I think he's a guy that you have to be ready to tackle, not because of, his physicality, but he has a little bit of long speed too, like DeMarco Murray. So I think they're very similar guys. Time will tell, of course, but I think they're not too far off. And then speaking of how you counteract the running game, again, biggest concern here with our linebackers. Do you play as much big nickel in this game as we normally do, or do you have to play with an extra linebacker because of what they want to do in the running game?
I'll ask you this. You want LVE on the field, or you want Jourdan Kearse on the field?
Kearse.
So I don't care what.
Is it that easy? Is it that easy though? Is that simple?
When Kearse has shown me what he's shown me this year, give me that. Now, if you want to tell me we're going to take Jourdan Lewis off the field and we're going to go Kearse, Parsons, and LVE and play it that way, my worry is that if you play LVE, man, if you play LVE, if I'm the Niners, I'm putting Deebo Samuel in the backfield. And then I'm going, okay, what are you going to do? You're going to have Parsons guard Kittle. You're going to have Kearse guard Kittle. You're going to try to put one of those guys on Deebo Samuel, because no matter what you do, LVE is going to be a liability out there. So that's what worries me. And I understand, like, you're thinking we got to stop the run first, so do whatever you can to stop the run. But if you just give these guys bad matchups, then you don't want to get hurt in both. You may want to say, all right, you're going to run a little bit, but eventually I'm going to make you have to have Jimmy G throw. And I'm not going to let you do it with LVE versus Deebo Samuel out of the backfield, So I'd be careful. I'm always game plan specific to a team, but that doesn't mean you need to play to their strength.
Gotta be fluid.
You got to be able to play to their weakness too. So I'll be interested to see what Dan Quinn does.
So you mentioned them briefly. I'm gonna ask you this question. Maybe you peep the reference. You might not. How do you stop 85?
Kittle? No, that's Vernon Davis, 85, isn't he? Who are you going with?
It was Shad Johnson, but that was the reference. But anyway, yeah, how do you stop Kittle though?
I got you. Okay. Great tackling. You're not really going to keep him from getting catches.
That's the magnetism of this team. We're gonna say it's a lot. How you stop my tackling? That's a lot of these guys. But go ahead.
The key really to stopping the 49ers is great tackling. If you let them get yak yards, they can hurt you, especially in the pass game, where that's where you want to limit them because that's their weakness. If they can do positive things in the passing game, they're going to run. Even if you do well, even if you have a great game against them, they're going to get some runs. That's what they do. So you got to be able to tackle well. And that includes Kittle. It's not like he's running seamers. He wants to catch the ball across the middle and break a tackle and then get a big play. So great Kearse got a tackle. Donovan Wilson's got a tackle. Parsons got a tackle. LVE's got a tackle. And minus this past Eagles game, the 3 or 4 before that, LVE has played really well.
It was better.
Yeah. So, he's got to keep it up and they've got to tackle.
So, I mean, I'm with you on that one. And I think to my prior question, I do the same thing where we have to add, it's more Kearse than anything else. It's going to be Kearse centric in this game. You have to do it that way. So I'm down with that for sure. And I'm going to have to ask this question too. So someone's going to ask this question, so it might as well be me. Does it make sense to have Micah Parsons travel with Deebo Samuel in the backfield? So let's say, for example, you're lining up in a zone coverage across the board. They motion Deebo in the backfield. Do you then have a coverage set up to where you say, look, no matter where he goes, Micah, that's your guy? Does that make any sense?
I'd prefer J-Lou to do that. I would have that be like the Kamara. I would treat Deebo Samuel like Kamara unless he goes to the outside where Diggs and Boss Man and them can handle him.
Then you switch to a zone.
Yeah, if I'm them and Deebo goes in the backfield, what I do with Parsons is blitz. Because what I'm saying is, okay, you're going to keep Deebo in the backfield to help block? Oh, no? Okay, you're going to keep Kittle? Great. So I eliminate one of those two. And if you're not keeping one of those, then Micah Parsons is getting one-on-one on those tackles because typically what will happen is he'll either rush the A-gap and get up the middle where they're weak, or they'll move Tank over where they're weak, but then that right tackle who's playing for McGlinchey that was injured, now he's got to stop Parsons. So he's going to affect more of the pass by blitzing every time Deebo's in the backfield than anything else. Now, if he blitzes to that side and Deebo comes out, do you have him travel over so they can't do that one? Sure, that's fine. But I would play it that when Deebo's in the backfield and I think it's a passing down, I'm sending Parsons every time and make him make a decision. Am I leaving Parsons one-on-one or am I leaving a weapon like Kittle or Deebo there to help block, which is that's great because you're basically saying Parsons is guarding you one-on-one and eliminating you is what that would be. So I'm good either way on that.
I'm with it. With Deebo, have you seen this? And I know you've seen like the film a lot. You've been over it. When it comes to Deebo, when he's in the backfield, he's getting handoffs. Is it more so him playing things from the outside, or is he going straight downhill? Do they vary? Like, I guess not do they vary, but do they prefer him to go outside versus inside if he has the ball in the backfield? What have you seen?
They don't want him running into defensive linemen. They want him trying to run around linebackers. So typically they're going to try to move him off tackle. He's like Pollard. Pollard gets more in the middle. Don't get me wrong. He gets some middle runs, but he's more like a Pollard. They want Elijah Mitchell up the middle. They run edge mostly with Mitchell too. Like they like to run to the off tackles more than up the middle all the time. I'll be interested to see how they do that because we're more weak directly up the middle than we are at the edges. So it's an interesting adjustment of styles where they like to go to the edge, but we're better defending the edge. So do they do what they're weaker at and go up the middle to our weakness? And in which case could be a positive for us because we're making them change their game plan. So I'll be interested to see how both teams do handle that.
You're saying advantage Cowboys then?
Yeah, I think if we're pretty strong running to the opposite end. Now, if they can run it up the middle like the Rams did a couple years ago, then you got me. But I don't think that they're going to be able to do that. I just don't think this is the same type of defense.
I like it, man. I wasn't too sure going into this matchup, but now that you frame it that way, I like what I'm hearing. Now, the quarterback. So on Twitter, I kind of saw what you were talking about. And with Jimmy, you weren't pulling any punches on Jimmy Garoppolo. So with him, your confidence is at an all-time high. Why are you so confident in Jimmy Garoppolo having to drop back in this game? And what is Dan Quinn? I guess put yourself in the mind of Dan Quinn. Seems like you already have, it sounds like. Why are you so confident in this game? And what do you think Dan Quinn does to him in this game?
Look, what Dan Quinn is saying is if we can just get to the down where Jimmy G has to do something, they're going to have a problem because he's not good versus pressure. And that is our ultimate strength on this team over anything else is we got guys that can go get the quarterback at the hot. Tank is great at it. Gregory is great at it. Parsons is next level. He's beyond those two. He's next level elite at going and getting it. And Jimmy G gives the ball away when he's pressured. He doesn't want to get hit. He'd rather throw it up and you know, he'll throw it behind the guy over the middle. We saw it in the game where Jalen Ramsey picked it off. Yeah, it's what he's known to do. And my confidence, it's not like I think we're going to walk in and we're guaranteed anything can happen on any day. I just don't like oh my God, we're facing a run team. It's over. I'm like, dude, what do you think? If you can't stop the Niners with Jimmy G at the run, what do you think you're going to do to Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon when they got Aaron Rodgers you got to worry about?
That's the one to focus on, really. But that's we'll get that in a little bit.
Even Tampa has 3 good running backs that could run. The Rams have 3 good running backs that can run. So if you're worried about that team running, then you know what are you going to do with a team that this team doesn't have the quarterback to keep up with you if you play your game and don't just. We're not last year's run defense. We're not going to give up 200 yards, be last in the league. So. Just all I'm saying is you don't have to be like, oh my God, we're playing a really good run team. We're what a bad matchup. We should have, got the 4th seed. Like that's coward stuff. Take the 3rd seed. If you can't beat the Niners and move on and maybe play a home playoff game next week, then what are we doing? What are we doing in there? What are you worried about the seeding? You're going to get beat in a week anyway.
But again, this is why I've been saying this. Indulge in this. Like really immerse yourself in it. Like what's going on. Because someone asked a question before we hopped on. And they said, well, why do people think that this team is more physical than the Cowboys? And my direct answer was this, because this team, the Niners, are known to run the ball better than they throw it. Hence why you think they're more physical, because what they do better is run the ball. Eagles are the exact same thing. And actually, it kind of all works in the same sentiment of hating on the Cowboys. Oh, well, they're more physical because they run the ball more. Okay, prove it. But like you said, they are improved. I mean, I like your counter to what they're doing. They are a running team. Yes, they are. But they are a finesse, quote unquote, finesse style running team of wanting to not let things get muddy inside and go outside. So it's almost like it fits you perfectly going into this game. And to your point about Jimmy Garoppolo, I agree with you. You pressure him, the ball's coming out. And he will bypass a check down to throw the ball over the middle in coverage. And I've seen him do it several times. Now he gets bailed out by physical playmakers too. Like, it's kind of give and take as well. These guys are physical across the middle. Brandy and Ayuk, for example, they're very physical across the middle, and they're strong at the point of the catch, but they have to be for the sake of the quarterback.
Yeah.
And we are too. We're strong at the point of the catch, a la Trayvon Diggs. And actually, a little bit of Anthony Brown too, if I'm telling you the truth. Speaking of which, I've been noticing that there's been rumors going around with what's going to happen with our slot. I'm seeing that now the plan is to play Kelvin Joseph more on the outside and move Anthony Brown inside. How do you feel about that?
I said it from the first time I saw Kelvin. First of all, I said it back. He was my 24th ranked player. I think Kelvin Joseph is amazing. I think he will end up being a better cover than Trayvon Diggs. Now, Trayvon Diggs is a better playmaker. Kelvin Joseph's sticky. He's the guy you want on Deebo Samuel when he gets more experience. Deebo Samuel was cutting up Jalen Ramsey. He's going to get yards, period. He's a great player. You're not shutting him down. But the minute I saw Kelvin Joseph play, I instantly was like, no, this is Diggs and Kelvin Joseph on the outside, and AB's better in the slot anyway. He's better than Jourdan Lewis, and he's better than he is outside where he's been fine. He hasn't been a problem. He's been okay. Kelvin Joseph is better. He's faster. And what I mean faster is AB has the 40 time, but he's quicker there. He's more agile. He's more acceleration. So when they race top speed, maybe AB beats him by a little bit, but he's quicker to jump it. He's quicker to move. He stands better the way Diggs does, where he anticipates things. The way he plays corner, you would think the way he's moving is like, man, it's not going to work, but he just understands it's going to be this or this. I just know I got to flip my hips, and Diggs does it amazingly. Calvin Joseph can do it too. So yeah, if it's me, I'm playing boss man and Diggs outside, AB's in the slot, and Jourdan Lewis is my guy that when they put a guy in the backfield, he's a utility guy that I use to do stuff like that. If they bring Trey Lance in, I can spy with him so Parsons can still rush the passer. Like, I have little things. That's what's so unique about this defense. They have things they can use everywhere. They can honestly come out in a 3-4, and I wouldn't be surprised to start the playoffs. I would not be shocked.
I've seen it, yeah.
If they come out in a 3-4 and they run like a Watkins, Bohana, tank line with Parsons and Randy Gregory on the outside. I wouldn't, and Kearse and LV in the middle. It wouldn't shock me at all. So I'm just excited to see what they do against the 49ers.
And too, and I like you said about Anthony Brown playing the slot too. Because tell me if I'm right about this. When AB first came in, he played slot for us also, didn't he, in 16? Yeah. And I remember he had one play where he was in the slot against, I believe, was against Victor Cruz, to where he knew what the route was. It was like a hook or a comeback route. He went around the receiver, got the interception on Eli Manning. Like, the guy actually jumps routes pretty well. His hands are kind of questionable. That's his downside. But his, like you said, anticipation and seeing things happen and play out in the slot, I thought he was pretty good in the slot, actually. I thought he was pretty solid. So if this is the intent of getting your best players on the field in this matchup, and it may not matter as much in this, with the Niners and their limited options, but I'm down for it, man. You talked about Trey Lance. In what capacity do you see him playing? Is he going to be a vital part of this game? Or is he more like a gadget guy, here and there, kind of catch the Cowboys off guard? Like, what's the impact here? What's the involvement of Trey Lance, you think?
I think there's two ways Trey Lance gets in. One is to maybe some red zone designed runs where they're worried about giving Jimmy G the throw because they're worried about the turnover. So you bring Lance in, you try to trick Dallas with certain runs. He may help you with the run because the guy has to stay backside, or they may run a trick play where you throw it to him, a play action that works. The other thing I think is if you come out, Dallas gets the kickoff, right? Scores. 3 and out, comes down, get a field goal. Jimmy G gets picked, 17-0. Jimmy G gets strip sacked, 20-0. They might just go, all right, look, Jimmy G ain't got, bring in Trey Lance for the second half. Let's see what we got. So if it's something like that where Jimmy G's just killing the offense, like they just can't do anything. They're 1 for 7 on third down. The run game's doing okay, but it's not getting them first downs, and he's not getting passes on 3rd and 3. Then I could see him bringing in Trey Lance and trying to, flip it. But that would be the two ways I see him coming in.
I find that Kaepernick magic somehow. Maybe the thing that I thought about was, like you said, the red zone. And I remember what happened back in the Raiders game in Thanksgiving where Mariota comes in, they're going to run the zone read deep in the red zone and touchdown. That's going to be it, I think. Even how they play this game with, again, running the ball, controlling the clock. They're going to want to do their best to make their red zone chances count. And he's going to be probably the key to that. So I think you'll see him maybe, I'd say without the game being out of hand, maybe 10, 15 snaps, something in that ballpark of them just trying to keep it contained. So another thing to watch out for, Trey Lance. But now I'm going to flip sides now, talking about our offense on their defense. So let's start with the O-line. With La'el Collins, did he make you feel either worried or scared with the way he played last week in Philadelphia against backups, and then only to play Nick Bosa this week? How do you feel about La'el Collins?
I'm okay with him. I kind of think this last week.
You've heard the whispers, though, about, Terrence Steele.
I think he played down to his competition last week. I think he knew it was the backups were in, and he got pushed around 1 or 2 plays. It really wasn't that bad of a game. It's just he set a really high standard. So when you set a really high standard like that, Steele set the worst standard you could ever set before, right? So now he's a pretty decent right tackle. But the comparison is, oh my God, Steele, look where he was, look where he is. He's unbelievable. And Steele's about right here. See, Collins has been about right here, but he's playing about right here. So he still plays better than Steele, but people expect here. And so they're like, oh man, Collins isn't playing. Well, look how much better Steele's playing. Well, really overall, Collins still a better right tackle. He just is. And so I don't want Terrence Steele's first playoff game against Nick Bosa. No, thank you. Give me La'el Collins. Give me the guy who was 2 years ago our best lineman, at least our best tackle. He had a better year than Tyron Smith did. So I'm going to trust him to play up to the level of Nick Bosa. I'm also going to trust the team to hit the right, the right chips at the right time to help, because I don't care who you are. Tyron Smith going against Nick Bosa all game is going to give up a couple. Nick Bosa is great. It's what it is. So I don't expect him to shut out Nick Bosa, but I think he'll be fine. I'm not overreacting on Collins. I will say, if he's killed this game, if we lose because Nick Bosa and that D-line is all over us, Terrence Steele will have his job next year, because the money, why pay so much if the difference is so slight? So this is going to be a big game for Collins to see, and I think he'll step up.
Yeah, I'm not feeling bad about him at all. And I'm not to the point where I say, okay, the job's in jeopardy, because I think he has enough in the tank to change course, play better, and kind of gain his focus back. And I don't think, like I said, he's going to have help. He's going to have plenty of help, whether it's the chip game, whether it's Zeke staying in the block. They're going to be just fine, I think. And this team doesn't blitz that heavy anyway, so you can afford the extra help before going out into a route, like you said, with chipping. So I think he's perfectly fine, man. I'm not concerned. It's an area of concern maybe against, let's say, if we see the Cardinals again, maybe, where you're isolated with one-on-one matchups. But I think he's earned the right. I think he's okay. I think he'll be fine. Now, talking about the Niners D-line, who is one player that most people don't know, but they should know that player?
Eric Armstead. Bosa gets a lot of run. Eric Armstead is a walking monster nightmare. And what terrifies me is they play him on end a lot. I just have a feeling on this game, they're going to run him right over our Connor Williams and B.I.G. I think they're going to move him inside and say, hey, we'll put somebody else out there to rush around the edge. It's Tyron Smith. Anyway, you're not going to get a lot of run against Tyron Smith. Let's have Eric Armstead go up the middle and wreak havoc with Bosa on the other side, so Dak has somebody coming around and somebody right up the middle.
Those that don't know, describe him as to what he looks like.
Oh, he's a monster. He's like 6'7". He's a giant. He's David Irving, but with like all the David Irving at his elitist best, what you want level of player. That's Eric Armstead. So that's how you can imagine what a terror he can be. It's just he plays D end a lot on pass rush reps versus the run. He'll move inside more, but he's not always inside. He plays D end a lot on that team, and he doesn't fit DM. Like, he doesn't scare me going against Tyron Smith. He scares me going up the middle.
So I got another guy, and I think your guy, Eric Armstead, my guy, are kind of synonymous in how they play together. But the guy I wanted to bring up was Arden Key. I've seen a lot of Arden Key, because you guys remember Arden Key from LSU, had problems off the field, fell to the fourth round. He was was he a day one pick before the trouble happened, I think?
Did he go to Raiders with Hurst?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
That's it.
Yes.
I think they might have both. Do they have Hurst too?
Yes.
That's crazy. They picked up both those guys. And yeah, both of them were at worst early day 2 picks before all the off-field trouble.
Yeah. And so I've noticed, like, him is when they go to, like, I guess, obvious passing downs, they run a lot of stunts with him as the under tackle, a little bit with the linebackers too. But I've seen that he's one of their guys in the middle. They'll run a stunt with him. I think it's Armstead on the outside, then they'll kind of loop around together on I guess it's a tackle end or end tackle stunt. So, but he's the one guy I saw. I'm like, oh, okay, he kind of flashes here and there, which could give our guys problems also, kind of passing things off. So Arden Key's the one guy that I saw. And then, of course, staggering and stifling our running game. I was thinking about this one is, give me one good reason in this game, or in general, maybe beyond this game, give me one good reason why Pollard should not have the same amount of snaps as Ezekiel Elliott.
Pass protection.
Is that the only reason, though?
That's the only reason. Because running the ball efficiency-wise, Tony Pollard's a killer. But he's just not. Ezekiel Elliott is having an extra offensive lineman. He may be your third best blocker on the team behind Zach Martin and Tyron Smith. Like, he's that good.
Thankfully, on the move too.
Yeah. He can chip. Nobody wants to see him coming on a chip. it terrifies defensive ends because he's such a big dude to get hit on the side with, you know. And then he just picks up the blitz. He doesn't care. He'll throw his body in there. And I'll be honest, I want to knock on wood on this one because I don't want it to happen in this game. But do you ever see him miss? Like, he always knows what blitzers
They called a miss in the Cardinals game. They called that wasn't a miss. That wasn't a miss. He actually hit his guy, struck him, and the guy recovered. But he does not miss.
No, his block was there. The ball didn't get out. That's a quarterback sack, people. And I love my quarterback, but that was a quarterback sack. So, yeah, that's why. Pass protection is why Ezekiel gets more snaps, because Dak gets told, here's 4 plays, depending on what it is, and they could start it a run, but if they switch to a pass, he may need Zeke there to be in the pass protection, so Zeke's going to get more snaps.
Now, given the fact that they're playing a team that you know, their blitz rate is not as frequent as Arizona, let's say, because they blitz so infrequently, wouldn't it make more sense to play Tony Pollard in this game?
Yeah, Tony Pollard should probably I would go about 50-50 on snaps. Touches, I would give Pollard more touches. There we go. I would give Pollard more touches than Ezekiel Elliott. Snaps is fine. Touches, Pollard, because he's just efficiency-wise, they're not even in the same ballpark. They're asked to do two different things on their runs, but do those runs. Like, you don't have to call the Zeke runs. You can call the Tony Pollard runs and let him run them. So, yeah, I would say snaps-wise, 50-50 feels about right. Touches-wise, I'd rather have Pollard a little bit more personally.
I agree. I agree. And I think that disparity drives people nuts, really, because and it's nothing against Zeke. I think he's an important piece. And the blocking you mentioned is really important still. That's a major factor. Again, you want some punch, you want some pop, you want this guy getting the ball, especially if you're going to play. And look, even when they're on the field together and they have plays where they're designed to go outside and Zeke is your lead blocker, man, he does not miss that strike zone. He crushes guys, linebackers, safeties, ends too on the move. I've seen him just smash through guys. So, yeah. But I think for touches, yeah, I totally agree with you on that sentiment. Has to play more with Tony Pollard. And then with Cedric Wilson, just let me see what you think about this.
Yeah.
So does Wilson in the slot make this a better offense versus CD in the slot, Lamb playing slot? And does that make Kellen Moore have to vary his route concepts? Does it make Kellen Moore a better play caller with Wilson in the slot versus CD in the slot?
I don't believe the offense is better with Cedric Wilson. Offenses don't get better when you lose a guy like Michael Gallup. Michael Gallup is an elite go route runner. You've seen him beat Ramsey on go routes. You can't go route him enough. And he can do other stuff. It's just the other two are really good at that. So what Gallup does is he plays on the line as the wide receiver that takes on the press coverage and allows Lamb to play in the slot or Cooper sometimes, but one of them the slot and one to play the receiver that's a little off the line on the outside that doesn't have to take on the press. He can get into his route a little bit, which they're better at. Also, Michael Gallup is unbelievable in the red zone as a fade guy, and we don't really have that besides him. Jarwin might be able to do it, but he's never been healthy enough to get enough attempts at it. So the reason that Ced, who I love, and I would re-sign Cedric over Gallup because of the money. The reason that Ced gets such big plays is because going into it, a defensive coordinator goes, take away Lamb, take away Cooper, take away Pollard. If Cedric Wilson beats you, that's fine. And Dak Prescott and Kellen Moore go, cool, we'll take that.
It. Yeah.
And so you don't do that with Michael Gallup. You don't just go, hey, if Michael Gallup beats you, fine, because you're getting beat by a go route, 70 yards down the field. So, you can't just go, oh, if Michael Gallup's in, leave him one-on-one. You typically, the reason CeeDee Lamb got 1,000 yards is you typically go, okay, we got to do what we got to do with the slot guy with CeeDee Lamb. And so he got more yards than everybody else because he got the open opportunities that Cedric Wilson is now getting because he's just in that spot where defensive coordinators are not going to go, you know what, let's one up on Amari Cooper because Cedric Wilson's been doing really well. He got 2 touchdowns. They're not going to do that. He's Amari Cooper. Mm-hmm. He's CeeDee Lamb. Cedric Wilson's 6th-round pick out of Boise State. So they're going to leave him one-on-one and go, if he beats you, he beats you. This offense too good. The problem is Dak and Cedric Wilson have the best chemistry of any of the wide receivers. And so when you do that, you are taking an enormous risk as a defensive coordinator, because Cedric Wilson beats you deep in different ways. And he hits you with seams. You know, you give him that one-on-one coverage and he beats you off the line. It's a 30-yard pass. It just, you know,
a 7 route from the slot. So, but to that point, does it make them a better offense, though? I understand you're taking away the go route variable in that, which is it's very important. But I feel like if you can still attack the vertical middle of the field with him in the slot, does that make them a more or less predictable offense?
Yeah, I would say you got to look at the red zone then, though, because what you're telling me is they can move 20 to 20 just as well or maybe better with Cedric Wilson. But then who's your go-to? Who's your guy that gets the fades in the end zone? You know what I mean?
Instead of going this way for my red zone targets, they've gone this way, which I'm okay with, though, and I'm fine with it. Look, if we're doing these things where we're doing the rub routes in the red zone, give me that. Give me that. Give me that.
He did that last week, and CeeDee Lamb sold it so well, like he was hit and injured, like he picked the shit out of that guy. That was as illegal of a pick as you can get, and he fell and he was hurt. Like I got hit and sold it. That was beautiful. Hey, did they call it? They didn't call it, then it was clean, in my opinion.
It was good to me. But that's the point, though. My thing is I like the fact that the offense now, they're running more horizontal, because I think we're talking about, okay, well, they're not having enough vertical shots. But that's okay, because when we talked about the offense a month ago, complaining about it, was where are all the deep shots at? Why is it being short and hooks and, and curl routes? Well, now my thing was back then is where are the slants? Where are the dig routes? Where are the over routes? And now they're here back again with Cooper. They're here back again with Cedric Wilson. So even in the red zone, again, if my shots in the red zone are horizontal, I'll take them all day long. I'm fine with that. So to your point, no, you're not more talented by subtraction of Michael Gallup, but do you seem more diversified? Do you feel more varied in your concepts? Kind of feels like it. Kind of feels like maybe they forced your hand somewhat. Gun to your head, you got to do it. It just feels that way.
There's a reason Michael Gallup's going to get $12 to $15 million, and we're probably going to re-sign Ced to $6 million. If you told me they're the same, hey, this injury, you could get Michael Gallup $6 million, bye, Ced. And I love Cedric Wilson. I said was my top fourth wide receiver in all of football. He was the perfect fourth wide receiver. I love Cedric Wilson. The reason I'm keeping him is because I can get him and have a good offense, different, but a good offense at a better price, because you don't want to pay your third wide receiver $15 million.
Yeah.
Michael Gallup was like, give me whatever contract you were going to give Cedric Wilson. They ain't even buy.
All right.
Instead, you want something lower, because we're keeping Michael Gallup. Then that guy's had 1,206 touchdowns in a season. He's real good.
He can ball. I mean, he can ball. And look, I'm not getting ahead of myself. I'm probably enamored by the fact that Cedric, he's got a little bit of an arm, so that kind of sells me a little bit. But talking about another receiver, right? So Amari Cooper, and I had to ask a question to you because I feel like in their head they're going to outsmart themselves. Are they, for some odd reason, going to go away from Amari Cooper in this game? Just because it's a weird thing to do, and it's maybe like we're going to say they're probably not expecting this, so we're going to go away from Amari Cooper. Do you think they go back to something crazy like that?
I would be if I'm Amari Cooper.
I'd be pissed, man. I'd be pissed.
Yeah, I'd be mad because he's been getting a lot of one-on-one coverage this year, and they just haven't been going to him, and it's pretty frustrating. There's no way that Amari Cooper played 16 games and should have 800 something yards on the number one offense that's Crime City, and that's the coordinator, the head coach, and the quarterback all combined should be. Look at teams. The Green Bay Packers only have Devontae Adams as a great wide receiver, and teams are like, put 3 on him, and they find him with Cooper Kupp. They find a way to get him ball. DeAndre Hopkins, you don't think he gets the same coverages Amari Cooper gets, if not more? He gets the ball. Why doesn't Amari Cooper get the ball more? It blows my mind. So,
you know why it's so maddening though? You know what's really, at least in the comparison of Davante Adams, you know why it pisses you off so much? Is because stylistically they run their routes kind of similar, meaning they can get open by themselves in whatever small area window, small space. Look, we have a 5-yard gap or 5-yard radius. These guys' releases are getting open somehow. And it's like, well, why can't you manufacture a play that he's your only read? Amari Cooper. I'm not looking at nobody else, okay? You can motion guys over to the weak side, making him just on the X by himself. You can run plays to get him open in the red zone. Anywhere you want on the field, no matter where it is. And it's, for some reason, it's like, well, no, we can't do that because he's not the best option here based on the coverage. Fuck the coverage. Give him the ball. Like, it's that simple. And I pulled the targets. I was talking to Knicks one time. I said, look at the targets of receivers in the NFL. And with the targets to this guy, this is prior to week 18, guys that had more targets than him were guys like Chase Claypool, guys like, I mean, I forget the names, but guys that didn't even belong on that list. And it was guys that were third options on their teams. It was sickening. Like Chase Claypool should not have more targets than Amari Cooper. And he's probably the most, at least the worst misused receiver in football for his skill set. So I'm like, well, why are you doing this to yourself? So I don't quite get why and what's going on, but it's almost like not having Gallup forces you to go back to your stars. If they somehow in this game decide not to give him the ball for some stupid reason, especially if it's like Josh Norman across from him, I'm gonna be pissed, man. I'm gonna be pissed. So you gotta feed your guys.
If you look at it, there's 4 of like the elite level route runners. Keenan Allen, I don't put anybody above him. I think he's the best there is. Davante Adams is right there. Stephon Diggs, Amari Cooper. Like, they're in that. Put them whatever, rank them however you want personally.
Doesn't matter.
They're tier 1 route runners. And all those other guys get the ball all the time. I don't, it blows my mind that Cooper doesn't get enough and that plays aren't designed to go, hey, this is a Amari Cooper play. You know what I mean? They just don't do that. They take what they give you, but sometimes they'll show you something and back off and go, okay, if we show him that he's doubled, Dak will look the other way and go to his next read and then back off it. Like, sometimes you just got to go, I'm looking at Amari Cooper here until I know I can't go to him.
And that's part of, like you said, with the quarterback. The quarterback is so good that a guy can be doubled and he'll throw him open. The quarterback is that good. And it's credit to Dak Prescott, really, because Dak Prescott has developed this ball placement that's, when he wants it to be, is upper tier. I mean, when I say his ball placement, it's like, talking about the 90s, it's like Glavine and Smoltz with the Braves back in the 90s. Like, he can hit it right there on the outside corner no matter who's there. So if he has the confidence to do it, just, again, give him the ball. Like, Amari Cooper, for his talents as a route runner, a hands catcher. He's an underrated hands catcher, really. Like, he's a great hands catcher. He's underrated. So it's like, feature your guy, get your guy the ball. And again, if you have Josh Norman playing or this young secondary, Ambry Thomas, go after him. Just hit him. So that's my thing, man. Talking about the tight ends, though. We mentioned the tight ends briefly. So we have Blake Jarwin and Dalton Schultz. They're back and they're healthy. In this game, is their blocking going to be a problem?
It has all year, so I don't know why it wouldn't change now. It's been everybody else says Tyler Biotish and Connor Williams. I go, well, number one, just give me a tight end that could do anything. Like, we had a couple plays.
Do we have one though? Do we have one?
No, we don't.
None.
We don't
Not Sprinkle. No.
Nope. None of them can block. And the thing is we had a play with the Cardinals that should have been a big run. They ran it 2 times, and Dalton Schultz got beat so bad by Chandler Jones off the ball, it turned into a 2-yard loss, where it should have been a 6-8 yard minimum gain. So I mean, they're terrible at blocking. So it's just, you've got to scheme around the fact that you have no blocking tight end and figure it out.
And it seems like it's both of them. With Jarwin, I feel like it's blocking in space. That's been his thing, in space. With Dalton, it's at the point of attack. So you're short, which again, it makes you have to play McGovern. And shout out to McGovern, because he's playing in all different areas because of the lack of blocking from your tight ends. They're lucky they're not playing a team that blitzes that much, or that you're going to be very run dependent in this game. You're very fortunate, because I agree with you. It's been a major problem, man. Damn, that sucks. That sucks.
I know. I wish I could give you good news. I'm not one of those Cowboys fans that'll blow smoke up your ass.
I appreciate you for that, because you know what? I had nothing else to counter with that with. When you said it, I was like, I'll take the L on this one. But all right, so with Dak Prescott, and I guess Kellen Moore, I can throw him in this pile as well. What do we have to do to avoid a slow start in this game? And in your mind, there is no way Dak Prescott bombs this matchup, right?
No, I don't see it happening. The only way is that the O-line is just destroyed by 49ers defensive line. I don't see it. Our O-line is better than, it's not the elite one that everybody tries to use to take away credit from Dak. Oh, he's got the best O-line in football. No, he's got an average O-line in football, maybe above average, depending on what they're doing. So no, I don't see him bombing this game. No chance.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm thinking about what these slow starts, man. And the first thing, you win the coin toss, defer the coin toss. And I understand that the natural thing is, okay, let's just get the ball and score and make them play to catch us. No, listen, if you come out slow, holding penalties, you're playing for field goals or whatever the case may be, you don't want to go down in the half, down 7-3. They get the ball, they go on a 7-minute drive, get a touchdown. You don't want that. You really don't want that. So that's the first thing that has to fall. But I think for them is, do not get stuck with the running game. Like, do not feel like you had to establish Zeke Elliott early, please. Like, in the last few weeks, they've been better at that, where they come out under center, they're throwing the ball quick to Amari Cooper on the outside, or Lamb, or even this short hook to Schultz. Like, I got to see them come out and really establish the passing game from different looks, different sets. And one thing I want to say is, too, is it's been like a flow where it's, you start with Zeke early and it's Zeke for 2-3 drives, then you can bring in Tony Pollard. Listen, out the gate, if you want to play them both together, I'm down for that. Like, I'm all for it. Like, have them play together. Let Pollard hit him with something big, even a screen or something like that. But try to get out of this normal routine of having these plays. Because I know they script plays for like the first 15 or whatever. And of course, they're going to feature Zeke. But if you want to break the mold for this game, do that. Like, definitely do that. And then just talking about the kicker, because I think that's the one people are pissed about the kicker, like really pissed about the kicker. With the kicker on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you in Greg Zuerlein in this game?
On all kicks, I'd say about 5.5 out of 10. He misses a lot in the middle. Like, he'll just miss an extra point. You'll be like, what happened? On clutch kicks, name me the one he's missed. So I'm 9 out of 10 on clutch kick. When it comes to I got to tie the game in the fourth, again, knock on wood, I don't want this to be the one. But when it comes to his clutch kicks, he nails those. It's the ones that's like, you're down 3-0 and you go on a drive and, you can tie the game and feel good about it. And then you miss. And then they go on a drive and score a touchdown. Now you're down 10-0 and you're down 2 scores. It's that kind of shit that he does that annoys the hell out of everybody. Or you miss an extra point that would put you up the full, 7. Like, you go up 17-10. Instead, you're up 16-10. Now a touchdown beats you. Like, that annoying stuff. Like, make the basic ones, but the clutch ones I'm good with.
Yeah, man. And you know what the thing is? I know I got heat for it on Twitter. I said, you got to ride with them, right? You got to stick with them. So before last week, I was like, look, if he has a bad game in Philly, you guys are looking at guys, bring guys in, make them compete for it. He goes to Philly. He's outside. He missed extra point. I understand that. But he made 7 out of 8 kicks outside in the conditions and had, I think, 3 touchbacks. So, and that was my other part is, can you kick the ball off through the end zone? And he did. So I think he earned the right. Now, how confident I am based on the 2 things you mentioned, clutch kicking and regular in-game kicking, 7, 6.5, 7, maybe 7.5. Like, I think he's not going to mess it up. And the reason why he won't mess this game up is because you don't want to trade field goals with the Niners anyway. You don't want to, kick field goals with them. So if you're down like near the 25-yard line, 4th and 1, 4th and 2, go for it. Of course, go for it. But if it's like 3rd and 11 at the 30-yard line, yeah, make this kick, man. Like, make this kick. And I feel like with those kicks of distance, he's kind of nailing them for some odd reason. But the thing is, like, inside 40 yards, which again, anything inside 40 yards, you cannot miss. You got to make that kick. But I mean, I feel like he's not going to be counted on this game that much anyway. So I feel like he's not going to impact the game as much as people think that he would, to where they got the torches out and the pitchforks to get him out of town. I think he's fine, man. I think he's okay.
I agree 100%.
So kind of looking at the game with the outcome, I'm going to ask you these two questions. The Cowboys will win the game if blank.
Cowboys will win if the O-line doesn't allow the San Francisco defensive line to wreck the game. So they can be solid. They could stop the run really well. But if the only way that the Niners beat us is if the D-line wrecks the run game and then just destroys in the pass game where they can rush 4 and drop everybody into coverage and still just give us no time. So as long as their D-line doesn't wreck our offensive game plan, I think Dallas will be fine.
To that, I guess I'm going to go with our defense. Because I think our defense has to be the staple in this game. And I'll have a question for you just because of this same sentiment. But I think the Cowboys win if they stop or they get to Jimmy Garoppolo. If they actually make Garoppolo force throws in tight windows and they intercept them, I think they win. I think if they play good, solid defense, they actually take advantage of their turnovers and takeaways, they win. And again, we talked about how they're different on in the running game, or how they're better defense, in the running game. They're a better defense as far as getting turnovers too. Like, that's the one thing. So I watched a lot of football last Sunday, and I saw so many guys, the ball would come, drop it. Around the NFL, a lot of guys on defense can't catch. This team can. Like, this team can catch the ball. They can take the ball away. Many teams can't. This team can. So I think if they take advantage of the opportunities they get, yeah, they win. They win this game for sure. And I'll flip the question over. I guess I'll go first here. The Cowboys will lose the game if blank. They're going to lose if by some reason they get outflanked in the running game. And I mean by this, if they send the motion and they follow the motion. And again, it's one of those games where I feel like maybe LV could be the culprit or Keanu O'Neal. But if they lose their leverage in these concepts of motion, like 2018 with the Rams, if they get just gashed over and over again, and they commit stupid penalties, they're going to lose. They're going to lose. Thoughts?
Yeah. Oh no, you can't get gashed by those plays again. If because it's happened 2 different times. It's, so if Dan Quinn and a lot of this unit haven't figured that out, like ways to contain that, that's a real issue.
I'm bugged out also by the fullback. I feel like the fullback's he's going to make a play, or they're going to try to get him involved in some kind of play. Either I feel like I just kind of sense a play action fullback wheel route, something ridiculous, like what we would want to do with, like, back in the day with Jameis Olawale, something like that. I feel like I smell a fullback wheel route, so something really deep down the field with minimal coverage behind it, just something odd like that. And then for this game, though, I know we're feeling pretty confident, but give me your score in this game.
My score is going to be Cowboys 32, 49ers 18.
Not bad. It's not bad at all. I had 30-17. I had 30-17.
We're right there.
Yeah. And I think, honestly, man, I think the difference is that they get hot quick. I think they come out quick. I think they test them down the field early as well. I feel like they're going to get off to a hot start just by going deep, maybe a penalty from their secondary. Again, Josh Norman picking on you. But I think that's going to be the recipe of just having that confidence early, attacking them deep early, and just making them pay for it in the red zone. And I think that's going to be the key. I think they go in the red zone 3 or 4 times, and they convert every time. Again, eliminate the kicker from being a factor in this game. Get in the red zone, score in the red zone. So I think, hey, we're moving on. Now I have questions for the big picture, because, again, I assume they're going to win this game. So questions in the big picture. So I've asked these same questions over the last month to a lot of my guests. So I'm going to ask you the same questions as well. Can this team win in the postseason, no matter the opponent or the location?
The one scary thing is Green Bay cold weather. The offense is not great in cold weather, but I'm going to answer it as yes, because I've seen both. I've seen Cowboys offense play better than any offense in football this year. I've seen Cowboys defense play as good as any defense in football this year. I've seen their special teams be as good as any special teams in football this year. So if some way those 3 things come together for 4 games, game over. It's over. And just so it's known, to put it out there even further on my prediction, I believe this is gonna be one of those games where they stamp something, We're coming into it right now. They're getting a little bit of like, man, they got a bad matchup. I don't know. Niners have won 7 of their last 9, 4 of their last 5. They're the team that's going to get the upset. I think they're going to walk out of this no matter who they play, Rams, Arizona, or Tampa next week, where everyone comes out of it going, oh my goodness, they're going to be a problem. If the Rams, Arizona, or Tampa Bay are going to beat this team, they're going to have to bring a plus game.
And that's the thing about this team all season, man. And so, like with fans, they've been kind of disappointed in how it's looked over the last season or the last month or so, whatever the case may be. But they're 12-5. They're 12-5, which means at some point during the season, they were clicking on all cylinders in all 3 phases, like you said. And that's the big part about it. And man, you said special teams. I did not even think about guys like Brian Anger. Didn't think about guys like C.J. Goodwin. I mean, C.J. Goodwin has been fantastic covering kicks. So they've had great kickoff units all season long and pinning teams backwards. Like that's one of those things, man, that they're missing. And I know I've always made the comparison of, oh yeah, this team is like the 07 Giants, where in all 3 phases they have someone playing great football. Everybody. The punter is like Steve Weatherford. Parsons is like that trick, that one talented piece that you can move around like a chess piece. And of course, like even Tank playing at under tackles, like having Justin Tuck, like these components are kind of coming together at the right time, and they can snuff anybody, any game, anytime. But you mentioned the components working together. So I'll give you a scenario. Can they win a game in the playoffs if the defense has to carry them to a win?
They can, but it's going to be against specific opponents. So I don't
like
believe
this week.
This week they can. The defense can carry them this week. Next week, if they play Tampa Bay, yes, because I think that if they can get to Tom Brady, it's an issue. So I think they can if they play Tampa. If they play Arizona, no, because I think Kyler's going to get out and make a few plays. If they play Aaron Rodgers, no. Stafford, probably yes. So it depends on against certain opponents, which is kind of what they've done all year. Is against certain opponents, the defense can carry them to wins. Yes.
And I think it's gonna take one game. If they make this run and they get there all the way through, the defense has to carry them in one game to where they come out. It might be in Green Bay for all I know. Maybe not the entire game, but maybe they come out for a half and they keep the game close to where they can compete, hang in there, and come back and steal it late. But I think their defense has that potential. And again, it's because they take the ball away so well. And they, believe it or not, you got the numbers, you can probably tell me if I'm wrong, but it seems like they play well tight in the red zone too, of limiting touchdowns in the red zone, especially against Arizona in that game as well. So I'll give them that for sure. I think they have that capability. But looking at this team, I guess from a wide angle or holistically here, if they don't make it to the Super Bowl, would you say that they fell short of expectations for this unit this year?
I wouldn't. And the reason I say that is because if they go to an NFC Championship at Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers in the last 2 minutes takes him down and Dak counters, puts him ahead, and Aaron Rodgers takes him down and they win the game in the last drive in Green Bay, NFC title game, I can't sit there and look at the experience they got. A lot of teams have to build up to this. You got to win a playoff game, then you got to go another one. You know what I mean? It's hard to just say, can they do it? Yes, but it's hard to say, oh yeah, they're going to come out after missing the playoffs the last 2 years with a new coach they haven't had. Kellen Moore hasn't had this experience. Mike McCarthy with this team hasn't, that they're just going to go through, win all the way and go to the Super Bowl, So I think if they get to an NFC title game, it's a good season. If they get to an NFC title game and are very competitive, like a game that maybe they should have won or they lose right at the end, I think that's a great year. And then if they win it all, terrific. They definitely have the capability to do that.
I mean, so for me, right, like they've raised the bar. I said 12-5 without any type of expectations from the defense. I didn't expect a great defense, and I got that. And I said 12-5. They've raised the bar based on that virtue of having a great opportunistic defense. So to me, I'm like, with this team this year, with these players, and again, we have to remember what's happening in the offseason, perhaps. Gregory, Kearse, I mean, guys, like KZ, I like KZ, for example. Guys may not be here next year. So you have to slap this all back together once more and do it again, even guys like Cedric Wilson or Michael Gallup. So it feels like you have to do it based on you raising the bar. Now, I see your point of that energy to be the man, you got to beat the man. And so maybe you instill confidence by winning or losing a close game to carry the momentum over to next year. Yeah, well, ask that to Jacksonville. Jacksonville couldn't put it together 2 years in a row. And I'm not saying that, they're going to collapse if they don't win this year, but I feel like
QB. They didn't have that QB.
I get it. And I get it. And I know that matters a lot. But there are things around the quarterback that have to stay consistent. Things like injuries, health, like it factors in year to year. You know what I'm saying? Like stuff like that makes you worry. And so even like with that sentiment, right? Like you and I, we've sat through the entire era of Romo, right? We saw Romo's all 10 years. And they would lose, they would go 8-8. They'll be back. 8-8. Nah, they'll be back. 8-8. They'll be back. They went up, then he got hurt. And by the time you know it, and by the time it's all said and done with, it's over. The era is over. The window is over, right? And you go before that, even with this Cowboys team back in 95. Like, oh yeah, they'll be back, right? Because after they lost the game, after they went through 95, we saw what happened afterwards, right? Like, there are still glimmers of hope that they can come back and recover, but they never quite did. So to me, these years are finite, man. Like these are, again, indulge in the moment, but these years are finite. So I'm like, if they don't go all the way to get to the game, actually get there, possibly game at home, it seems like they left someone on the table. And I get it, losing to Aaron Rodgers would suck, man. It's devastating, but still, I feel like they're good enough on defense to get there and beat him too.
Give me the core player we're going to lose in free agency, though.
Gallup, I guess.
Parsons going to be here. Who?
Brandy.
Oh, that's a good one. That's
Tough
fair.
one.
That's a big loss. Yeah, that's fair.
It's a hard pill to swallow, man. I mean, and I like the guys that came behind
Brandy.
him.
They got to keep Brandy.
You never know,
man. That's the one guy, because I go through, like, Kearse would be tough, but he, is he a 1 year thing? Like, he's not somebody that's been consistently great. Could Quinn find somebody to do that? Connor Williams, replaceable player. Michael Gallup's a wide receiver 3. We played most of the year without him. Next year, Dak, if they want him, is here. Cooper, here. Collins, here. Tyron, here. B.I.G, Martin, Zeke, Pollard, Parsons, Tank, Gallimore, Bosa, Diggs.
Dalton. Disposable.
Dalton? Schultz. Oh, yeah. Definitely disposable. Can't block. You can put, he's very good, but Jarwin in the same circumstances will put up about the same numbers passing if healthy. I think Sean McKeon can come out and do that too. It's he's very good, but he's going to get 12 to 15 million a year. There's no way you can pay him.
Yeah.
He'll get Hunter Henry money. So, the guys you're losing are not core guys, so Randy Gregory is a good one though. They need to bring back Randy Gregory. That would change my mind drastically if they could not keep Randy Gregory.
But that's why I say I don't want to take it for granted. And I know I've talked about it a lot. It's been thematic for the entire week and just kind of, again, savoring the moment because these things, they come and go. And when they're gone, again, old school, they may never come back. So that's just my thing. But from cynicism to positivity, let's say, though, they make it all the way through. They, they knock off Rodgers, Brady, Stafford, who the hell, and they make it to the final game and they win that game. If they win the Super Bowl this year, whose legacy gets the biggest boost? Dak Prescott, Mike McCarthy, or Jerry Jones?
All right, I'm a 3-part answer this. It's not Jerry because most of us know Jerry's not really in charge. Steven does the cap. Will McClay's the guy. Jerry's the guy we put in front of the microphone, the figurehead. But he's not really, in the end, he's not really making the decisions. Jerry's cemented Hall of Famer, 3-time Super Bowl winner. It'll just add another number to him. He's not involved. The answer should be Mike McCarthy. Won Super Bowl. People said it was only because Aaron Rodgers, he didn't do enough with them, yada, yada, yada. He's won as in his coaching staffs, every coaching staff he was on as quarterback coach and coordinator and all that stuff, he won amazingly, but he never really got credit for it because the only one he won was Aaron Rodgers. So if he wins one here, going through the Patrick Mahomes and stuff, he should get the highest. The guy will be Dak, though. Dak will get the highest because the media is gonna talk about the star on the helmet, the quarterback, and there'll be nothing to he's had all the stats. We all know he has the intangibles. Nobody doubts that. He has the stats, but people go, oh, what did he do against Kansas City, though? But what did he do against that? If he adds a ring to it, talk's over. It's done. So the answer should probably be Mike McCarthy, but because of the ridicule Dak Prescott gets because of the helmet, the unfair ridicule, he will also get the backlash of that from the Cowboys community, from Cowboys people in the media that'll say, what are you going to say now about Dak Prescott? So it will be him. Probably should be McCarthy.
Yeah. And I said it before last week when I had Tom Downey on, and I said McCarthy fits the mold because of what's going on. Like, McCarthy has been cited largely because of Aaron Rodgers. I know, like I said, the article that came out from Bleacher Report, Ty Dunn, slammed Mike McCarthy for being lazy, not caring. And he's been fighting an uphill battle with the Cowboys media and fans since the press conference, really, that, he lied for the job. He wasn't serious. And I think he was just joking, and it got taken out of context and got spun out way far. But I mean, everywhere he's been, they've done pretty well. And you can't tell me what he's impacted this roster with his attitude, his sights, and his ideas. They've been way better than Jason Garrett. No questions asked. It's not a debate. I don't care about it. And the thing is, he's actually been kind of a parallel of Dak Prescott because he gets slapped around by everybody, fans. Like, we talked about, so I know, I think it was either Tyler today or somebody was pulling receipts, and they talked about the NFC East, what they thought about before the season started. But some of those posts also talked about Joe Judge as well, him being a better coach than Mike McCarthy for whatever reason, which is a stupid thing to say anyway.
Yeah, that's Super Bowl winner.
So, I mean, he's largely disrespected based on, I guess, his demeanor, and again, the quarterback that he used to have somewhere else. So by that logic, yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. When it comes to Dak Prescott, however, Dak deserves these signature wins. He deserves them, right? And I was thinking about this actually on the way home today, and it's the thing about legacies, right? The problem with legacies is that, and I mean, you're a basketball fan, you're a Lakers fan, you know how legacies work in the NBA as well. It's that legacies are compared to somebody else. Fair, unfair, a legacy has to be compared, stacked up against somebody else. As Cowboys fans, because we've had a drought over the last 20 years, the first legacy to take down is going to have to be, by comparison, is Tony Romo. So if he wins this whole thing, he has now eclipsed Romo in playoff wins, rings, everything. And I'm speaking more to the Cowboys community versus the outside world. Yeah. But the Cowboys community, they smash on Dak Prescott because he's not Tony Romo or Aikman or whoever. If he has the ring, he stacks up with everybody else. He has the numbers, the stats. He has the wins. And I think if anyone deserves to be happy with that legacy boost and that universal respect, it's Dak Prescott, man. It's Dak Prescott. Yeah. I mean, by a mile, it's Dak Prescott. I would definitely say that for sure. So I'm with it, man. I'm with it. But it's been a banging show, man. It's been great.
That was awesome, man. It's been a long time since we've been on together, so it felt good.
But you know what? It's always the same, but it sucks to close it. So before we get out of here, man, and wrap this thing up, how can I find you on Twitter?
At anywhere else, guys. What's that?
And anywhere else, by the way.
Well, of course, at CD Piglet. I've said it on a million podcasts. Y'all know that. My work's at Cowboys Wire. My editor, Katie Drummond, makes me look really good on there. So read the work. And then ATB Cowboys podcast, formerly with LP, and now back to just me and Paul. We miss you a lot, my friend.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. But guys, man, it's been great, man. So Mike, again, thank you for coming on to do this. It's been a great time. I appreciate it. Cowboys Nation, I rock with you guys. Appreciate you guys for listening and watching on YouTube. Hit the like button, hit the sub button. Also follow Mike on Twitter at CD Piglet. Nice and easy, Mike. So for my special guest, Mike Crum, I'm LP Cruz. As always, Cowboys up, playoffs. Peace.